Hey guys, this is Rafe. Today I'm going to talk about how to do well on the LSAT. As far as I can tell, I'm not an expert, but I did do pretty well on it, so I have some advice for you guys. First of all, the LSAT is a Canadian test, standardized test that you have to take. It's about 4 hours, and everyone needs to take it to get into law school. It's worth about between half and a quarter, maybe a little more, for whether or not you're going to get into law school in Canada. So everyone who goes to law school in Canada has to take the LSAT. Okay, so there's a couple things that you should know about the LSAT. It's there's 5 sections that you have to do plus a written. There's arguments, which is basically like, okay, well, if you're taking it, you're going to know what these are pretty soon. But arguments is kind of like logic problems. There's games, which is like kind of mathematical logic problems, problem-solving questions, and then there's reading, where you have to read and answer multiple-choice questions. And then there's a written section, but most schools don't even look at that. I'm not going to go too much detail into them, because if you're taking the LSAT, you're going to know what those things are. Okay, so here's my advice. Number 1, you're going to think you did bad. Everyone thinks they did bad, and you might have done bad, but you might not have done bad. I thought I did really bad on my LSAT. I was thinking of canceling it, and I ended up doing really well. I have friends who, my friend got a 99th percentile. He thought he did really badly on it. So just because you think you did badly doesn't mean you're going to do badly. Some people have the impulse to cancel it right away. At least think about it for a while before you cancel it. I haven't seen such a big disadvantage if you have 2 LSATs, so I really wouldn't cancel it at all, to be honest, unless you're on to your 5th or whatever. Okay, when you practice, make it as much like the test as possible. Use the right pencils. Okay, you're not allowed to use a digital watch. When I took it, you're not allowed to use a digital watch. So make sure you use a analog watch. What I did was I made, with a black marker, I think each section, I don't even remember it, each section is a certain amount of time, so I made checks on each section that divided the stopwatch into the analog watch into 4 sections, so I knew how long I would have in each section, which kind of helped. But I did not spend enough time practicing with an analog watch, which actually hurt me a lot. My worst section was games on the test, which should have been my best section, but because in practice it was my best section. But I did not practice with an analog watch. That hurt me. I got messed up for time on the game section. Make sure you're using the right paper. You're not allowed to write on another paper. You have to write on the exam. So make sure you're practiced at that, and make sure you do 5 sections. So there's 4 sections: 2 arguments, 1 games, 1 reading, and then there's the bonus writing one, which doesn't really matter, so don't worry about that. But there's also an extra section that could give you an arguments, a reading, a games, and you don't know which one's fake. So one of them is going to be a fake section. So you actually are doing 5 sections that count, that could count. When I was practicing, I was only doing 4 sections. But make sure you practice during 5, because my last arguments I did worse on. Even though my first arguments I did really well on, my last arguments I did worse on because I was tired, because I wasn't used to doing a 5-section exam. Also, it was really early in the morning. I wasn't used to writing it so early in the morning. I was tired for the game section. My game section was first. I was tired for it, so make sure you actually practice at the time it's supposed to be, everything how it's supposed to be. Okay, here's something that helped me. Games was always my best section. I was getting almost perfect on games. On the day of the test, I was tired because I wasn't used to waking up so early. I got screwed up on games. I thought I was going to get 10 out of 24, which would have killed me. So, and that was the very first section. So I just thought, I'm not going to do well on this. I'm not going to get in. I'm going to have to redo the LSAT. So that was kind of bad. I ended up not doing as badly as I thought on games. I made a couple good guesses. I think it was still my worst section, but I wasn't getting perfect on it, but I still actually did pretty decent on it. So, but I had the mentality, I failed. I might as well just try as good as I can, as much as I can. It's a learning experience, and next time I do it, I'll know what I'm doing. which actually took off a lot of the pressure. So I did really well in the other sections because I didn't have the pressure anymore of not doing well on the exam, because I just assumed that I already did badly, assuming that games weren't actually counted. So if you even go in with the assumption that you're going to do the test twice, the first time you just be like, this is a learning experience, and actually feel like that way, because you can really take it twice. So then hopefully that will help take off some of the pressure. Okay, now I'm going to go into the individual sections. Arguments is worth half, so it's most important. I really can't give too much advice on arguments. I'm lucky I happened to get arguments right from the beginning. I never had to practice it. From the first one, I could do it. I never improved on it. But I guess just, I don't know. You start to see tons of them. You start to realize them. Make sure your timing is right on them. I forget, maybe do the easy ones first. I'm not going to give the advice that everyone gives. I mean, I'm sure those are the ones you've already heard. I forget, some people say do the easiest ones first, which is probably smart. But I usually got those pretty quickly. You don't have to be so sure. I don't know. Just do a ton of them. That's what I did. Okay, games. When you just start off, you're going to be bad at games. I was very bad at games. So, oh yeah, arguments, make sure your timing is right on the exam. Games, everyone starts off bad. I just did a million of them. You start to get the pattern. Like, at first you're thinking it out, but by the end you're just like, oh, I know this pattern. I've done it a million times before. Games is scary because you could really screw it up on the test. But, yeah, for games, I would say just do a million. Get help, look in the books, but only thing I really did was I did a ton of them. Reading comp was supposed to be my worst section. A week and a half before the exam, I was getting like 13 out of 27 on it. I ended up getting 24 out of 27 on it. Kind of just snapped. Got lucky, I guess. I did get lucky. The one I did on the test was the best one I ever did. Even in all my practice ones that I ever did. What I found was helpful, I read it up in a blog, I forget where, but you have to read it really aggressively. I'm just giving the tips that other people don't give. I'm not going to say, like, do the questions first, because different people read the questions first, because different people do it differently. But I read it like I was interrogating a terrorist. You have to go through it, be like, oh, this guy's full of bull. I don't believe this guy. Just have that kind of mentality, like, oh, this guy's a jerk. He's probably trying to lie to me. But when you're thinking about that, like as if you're interrogating a terrorist, you're very much reading into everything, and you're really remembering it, and that helped for me. That was the difference between 14 out of 27 and 24 out of 27. I don't know if it'll work for everybody. That worked for me. Very aggressive. Be like, this guy's a liar. Let's look what he's hiding. What's this guy hiding? Then it really made me remember it, and it really helped. Don't guess which one is the fake one. One of them is fake. My friend guessed. He guessed the wrong fake one. He was very sure, and he ended up doing not so well on his LSAT. You don't know. Pretend they're all real. And yeah, that's it, pretty much. Those are all my advice. Some people take the course. I didn't take the course, but yeah, hopefully this helps. Let me know. Check out my band at itunes.com/trickofdisaster. Peace.